Hey guys, it's just Matthew. I've got a couple of new videos out. These are on the polynomials, and we're going to look at a word problem and find the zero problems and then the graph of polynomial problems. Let's jump right in. This is a word problem that you will find in your homework, and it talks about the number of genes that are produced, and we have a function that represents the cost of these genes, and we're looking to find the minimum daily cost. So anytime a question asks for a minimum, we're always going to use the vertex formula. The vertex formula has two parts. The first part is just a plug-in. It's the actual formula part. The first part is to plug in your negative b over 2a, and then take that answer, and then you're going to plug that in. So this is a quadratic function, so we know our a and our b and our c. And we're going to plug these values in. So I'm going to do negative 120 over 2 times 0.3. I am going to need my calculator for this. So that's going to be a positive 120 divided by 0.6. And I'm going to use my calculator. And I think I'm going to get, oh, yes, it's weird. I'm going to go together. Sorry, I wasn't quite ready. I am going to get 200. So this is how many genes that I need to produce to get a minimum cost. So now I'm going to take that number and I'm going to actually plug it in to my function. So I'm going to plug in 200. Again, I'm going to desperately need my calculator for this. And so I'm going to type that into my calculator using parentheses and all that good fun stuff. And we're going to get minus 120 times 200 plus 12,590, and I get $590. And so that's the minimum cost. So again, it's a very simple formula. You use the x equals negative b over a, and then you plug that answer into your original function. Here we go. The next question says find all the zeros. Now this one does not give you any steps. It just says find all the zeros. The third one literally gives you the steps and you have to type them in. These two problems work exactly the same way. It's just one of them is required to plug them all in. One of them you're not. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to list possible zeros. So our possible zeros are found by doing the factors of the last number, which is 10, divided by the factors of the first number, which is 1. So factors of 10 are going to be positive and negative 1, positive negative 2, positive negative 5, and positive negative 10. If I divide those by the factors of 1, well, nothing happens. So 1 divided by 1, 2 divided by 1, 5. So these are my list of possible answers. So now the second step, I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide by one of those numbers. I actually have two divisions set up because I don't know the answers. Okay, so I'm going to divide those numbers. I'm going to try 1. And so I'm actually going to divide, checking positive 1, and we do a multiply add. So 1 times 1 is 1, and then 2 plus 1 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Negative 13 plus 3 is negative 10. And 1 times 10 is negative 10, and I get 0. This is an answer. I got one on the first time, so I don't need to second divide. Alright, so that's the next thing. I just took the first number and guessed, and I guessed right. So that is one of the zeros. That is one of my zeros. So start my answers. 1. I divided and I got 0. Right, now we're going to take the three numbers that I have left and use my quadratic formula, because officially that's 1x squared plus 3b minus 10, 3x minus 10 equals 0. And I need to solve this. Now this one will factor. This one nicely factors. Multiply to give me 10, 5 and 2, add to give me 3, be 5 and negative 2. So x plus 5 equals 0, x equals negative 5, that's an answer. X equals 2. So my answers are 1, negative 5, and 2. Those are my 3 answers that I need for this problem. And that's all this one asks me for. It doesn't go through and make you do all the steps. It just asks for the final answer. Number 3, however, it wants you to list them all and then write them all down. Okay, so this one, or should I say type them all in. So this one, when we do this one, I'm going to have to write them all down. So I need factors of 2 over the factors of 2. So that would be positive and negative 1, positive and negative 2 over positive negative 1, positive negative 2. So when I list those out, 1 over 1 is 1, 2 over 1 is 2, 1 over 2 is 1 half. And technically 2 over 2 I already have. So I am going to have to type these in. This one actually requires typing those in because those are my possibles. Alright, step 2 is a divide step. And so I'm going to pick one of these and start dividing. Okay, I'm going to pick a negative one. I could be wrong, but I'm just pick a negative one. Pick a negative one to go first. And I could do positive one, but I don't think it's going to work. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Gives me 4. Gives me negative 4, and that gives me 1. And that gives me 1, and that gives me 1. Did I do that right? 1 times 2 is 2. 6 times 2 is 4. Work. Okay, so that one did not work. Right, so I'm going to try negative 2. It may or may not write. I may have to do 3 of these. Here we go. This one worked. Okay, so negative 2 was my second guess, and that worked. So in this problem, I have to type in the red box. Then I have to type in the negative 2 because it worked. And now I'm going to do the quadratic formula with these numbers 2, 2, and 1. So if you remember your formula, it'll be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. And I'm going to get the radical first. I'm going to get 4 minus 8, which is negative 4, so this is going to be 2i. Negative 2 plus or minus 2i divided by 4. And this is going to simplify to negative 1 half plus or minus 1 half I. So these are my remaining zeros. These are the remaining zeros. So those are the things that you have to type in. So we have the red one that we type in, the second box that you have to type in for MyLab's negative 2, and then the third one is that right here. Okay, I've got one more problem to do for you. That's this one. I'm going to come back in the next video and do that. It's just math, y'all.